Hello everyone, and welcome back to the 3T Path channel. Welcome back to our Uddhava-gita course. Now we are in a very important chapter of the Uddhava-gita where Krishna is talking about the highest aspect of the whole bhakti tradition, which are the gopis of Vrindavan, the highest aspect of complete dedication, surrender, shelter in Krishna. And that's become a mark of the highest levels of bhakti. It's the focal point of the entire Bhagavad Purana. It's the highest peak of the entire Bhagavad Purana, the stories of Krishna and Vrindavan, and especially the stories of the gopis in relation to Krishna. So that's like considered the topmost example of spirituality, of bhakti in the Bhagavad Purana tradition, in the Krishna tradition in general. So Krishna is mentioning that. It's very important because Krishna commenting on that section of his life, on that aspect of his life. So it's not just some other commentary, it's not just some spiritual master commenting on it. It's Krishna himself talking about those moments and those special souls in the form of gopis of Vrindavan. So he explained to Uddhava in the last class their supreme importance and why they're so important, and this theme of absolute dedication, this theme of the power of love, the power of bhakti, will continue in this class. Now, as usual, if you want to rest the entire Uddhava-gita course, you just become a member of this channel, become a member of our Bhakti Club, and the instructions are here in the description of the video. And you can access the entire Uddhava-gita course, which is the only complete Uddhava-gita course you'll find online. And including, don't forget to check out Uddhava-gita.com. We have the classes listed there as well, where you can organize, you can see which each class covers. Of course, to watch the class, you have to be, though, a member of the Bhakti Club. So, here we are, and then we are on the 11th canto, 12th chapter, verse 13, 11, 12, 13. So Krishna continues talking to Uddhava. All those hundreds of thousands of gopis, understanding me to be their most charming lover and ardently desiring me in that way, were unaware of my actual position. Yet, by intimately associating with me, the gopis attained me, the supreme absolute truth. So this verse is very interesting. For one thing, we get the scope, the dimension. There is a weird absolute math involved, a transcendental absolute reality math involved in the stories of Krishna. You'll see this come up once in a while. And here Krishna is saying that there were hundreds of thousands of gopis. And of course, the scenes, the descriptions we got in the 10th canto seemed quite intimate. They're just doing like a rasa lila. They're doing like a rasa dance, a circle dance it's called. It's like you can't have hundreds of thousands of people in a circle. It would be a very big circle. So you get this idea that there are like, a dozen, maybe 20, 40, 30, like no more than that. And then here Krishna saying, there were hundreds of thousands of gopis. So you have this, this thing where the reality of Vrindavan was a projection of the spiritual world where there are no limitations like here in the material world. So you get these numbers. So that's interesting anyway. So hundreds of thousands of gopis. Now, so there's lots of gopis. The point is, look, there's lots of them. So it wasn't like a random thing that happened with one or two. It happened to all of them, and there was a whole bunch of them. And what were they doing? This is really interesting. This is a fascinating aspect of the whole bhakti tradition. It's like the topmost jewel of the Bhagavad Purana is saying, look, these souls, I don't want to say these women, because obviously they're not just some humans. These advanced spiritualists, these great souls who had taken birth in that position in Vrindavan, they understood me to be their most charming lover. They desired me in that way. and they were unaware of my actual position. So there's a video on this channel, you can look it up, it's called Yoga Maya. And this is a very interesting topic. In all of yoga, what you're trying to do is you're trying to overcome illusion, Maya it's called. You're trying to overcome Maya. Maya is that thing that makes you not see spirituality. So the illusion that this material existence is it. So you look and say, yes, I am this body. So that's Maya. Yes, this is me. This is, I look in the mirror and I see a body, and so I am the body. And you look around and you see walls and trees and, you know, and okay, and hills. Okay, this is it. This is the world. There's nothing beyond this. There's nothing beyond, you know, the universe, the stars, the world. There's nothing beyond my body. I am the body. This is Maya. There's no spirituality. There's no soul. There's no God. No, nothing else. That's Maya. So the whole point of yoga is to overcome this limitation of Maya. So everybody's trying to, you know, all the different paths, you know, through jnana yoga, through philosophical discussion, sankhya, analyzing the world, yoga, controlling the senses, blah, blah, blah. You know, like everyone is just trying to overcome this Maya and go beyond, transcend matter, transcend the material world, the vision of material world. So that's Maya. Then you get to the point then, okay, now I can see, okay, yes, God, and I want to worship, and you worship God, and, you know, like that's what we're doing. We're clearing away, you know, the fog of illusion, and now we're understanding we are souls. We're taking this knowledge, and we're studying Bhagavad-gita, Bhagavad Purana, and like, yes, I'm a soul, and there's God and Krishna, and I'm, you know, you worship Krishna, and you pray to Him. So then you've gone beyond Maya, great. But then at the last stage, at the highest stage, you get Yoga Maya, where you again forget about God and soul. And you're just so immersed in your relationship out of love, you're just so attracted out of love, that you don't worry about the details and the philosophy. Yes, I'm not the body, I'm a soul, and yes, this is Krishna. Krishna is the Supreme Lord, the absolute truth, and everything emanates from Him, and He's the source of everything. Karana Karanam, He's the cause of all causes. No, you forget all that stuff. Like, who cares? I just love Him. You just forget these things. And you're just in love with Krishna. You just want Krishna because He's Krishna, all attractive. That's what the name Krishna means, all attractive. So He is Krishna, He is all attractive, and you're just so immersed, your minds. We saw in the last class. If you haven't seen it, you have to see the last class. Very important. Very important in the last class. Because we talked about this absolute, you know, the highest state of their minds completely absorbed in Krishna. So their minds were completely transcendental, beyond themselves. They would forget themselves. This is the objective of the highest spirituality. You forget body, you forget all material things. Your mind is completely absorbed in Krishna and God. So they were at that level, but they were so just in love with Krishna that the details, oh, Krishna's God, that's gone from their minds. They don't, like, who cares? It doesn't matter. So these are souls that had evolved in other lives. These are great yogis. So in other lives, were more like us, like, yes, let's study this, and yes, Maya, and okay, not Maya, who is God, and, you know, we're analyzing and we're studying because, you know, we're working out, you know, getting rid of Maya still, so you can't mess around. But these are great souls who are now at this point, when they, in their last lives, they were just, no, it's just Krishna, and you're just thinking of Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. So in this birth, in this final birth they took, as gopis in Krishna's, what's called Boma Leela, when Krishna comes to the universe, every once in a very rare while, Krishna himself will come. They say once in a day of Lord Brahma, once every 4 billion years. Krishna will come. So it's a long time. So once in a very long time, Krishna will come to perform his activities on earth like he did 5,000 years ago. And so the souls who have, look, I've been involved, they've been evolving. Now, the last thing, look, just before you go back home, back to God, you get to be with Krishna still in the material world, because you still, this is the last thing here, just so you can become absolutely perfect. So you'll take birth and in a place where Krishna will personally be present. So it's almost, it's like the spiritual world, right? Because Krishna is there. So, Krishna is right there in Vrindavan. So, again, it's like a projection of the spiritual world would come to here. So that's where you go. That would be the last birth. So these great souls, they take birth, so they're already like, they've already developed love of Krishna in other lifetimes. It's not that they were just like some women, randomly walking around, checking out, whatever their Instagram. It's like, oh, Krishna. No, it wasn't like that. These are great spiritualists, for I don't know, who knows how many lifetimes of spiritual dedication, having gone through all the different paths. They did the austerities, they did the studies, they did the rituals, they did everything else in the past. And now, they're just the last lives. I just want Krishna. And then this birth, okay, it's just about Krishna. And they're born in a place where Krishna is personally present, and they're all just thinking of Krishna, and they're just in love with Krishna, because Krishna is just so amazing. He's so awesome. He's not just like God and like, you have to worship him because he's God, like in the material world, he's the boss. So like, oh, hi, mister. The guy's a bozo, you hate him, but like, yes, sir, thank you very much. Like, you don't even like the person, but you have to because he's the boss. He's the president, he's the minister, he's the congressman, he's the senator. Oh, yes, senator, yes, sure, of course, sir. But the guy's a jerk. Here you get that. But not with Krishna. So Krishna isn't like some jerk, but he's God. Oh, yes, he's a jerk, but yes, let's bow down to him anyway, because he's God, right? So you don't want to mess with him. No, Krishna is all attractive. He's awesome. He's like infinitely beautiful and playful and kind and compassionate and funny and great dancer, great dresses really well. He's great at everything. He's a great artist. He's great jokes. He's awesome in every way. Krishna, all attractive. So then these souls get, and they're just like, yes, this is the person that we've been looking for countless lives of spiritual practice. And now we just forget everything else. It's just, I'm just in love. They're just overwhelmed. Their minds are completely absorbed in Krishna. So, they're unaware of his position. They forget. So even with that, so the point Krishna is telling Uddhava is like, look, so they got to this point, they're completely immersed in me. They don't have to know all the details. It's not that you have to have like, oh, okay, Supreme Lord, cause of all causes, and this and that, and expect. No, you don't have to know any of these things. It's just about being focused on me. Yet, by associating with me, they attained me. So these gopis, they weren't doing fancy rituals, they weren't doing like complicated philosophy, they weren't doing any like mortifications and austerities, no, they were just in love with Krishna. So it's a very important point of bhakti, one of the greatest themes, like maybe the topmost theme of the entire Bhagavad Purana is understanding this. Okay. Purport. The words Ashvarupa Vidha, not understanding my actual position or form, indicate that the lovely gopis were so completely absorbed in conjugal love for Lord Krishna that they were not aware of the Lord's unlimited potencies as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains this and other meanings of the word Ashvarupa Vidha. In Sanskrit, the word vid also means to acquire. Thus, Ashvaruddha Vidha indicates that the gopis, like other pure devotees of the Lord, were not interested in achieving sarupya mukti, the liberation of acquiring a bodily form, similar to that of the Lord's. So, sarupya mukti, it's interesting. You will see, we saw sarupya mukti in the beginning of the Bhagavatam, in the 3rd canto, where the descriptions of Vaikuntha, not Krishna Loka, because there are many kingdoms of God, there are many different places in the spiritual world. God has different places. Sometimes they call them spiritual planets. So there are many different kingdoms, spiritual planets. The word in Sanskrit is loka, locations. So there are definitely different godly locations, abodes of the Lord. I like the word abode. So there are many different abodes of God, because God has many different Bhagavan forms, right? So there's a variety in the spiritual world. So because of all the different kinds of devotees who have different forms of God, Bhagavan forms which they worship. So the common, like the generic one, Vaikuntha is the generic one. We have Lakshmi Narayan, the armed form of God with Lakshmi Devi, the goddess of fortune next to him. So Vaikuntha. So we saw in the 3rd canto of the Bhagavatam that in Vaikuntha, everybody there has sarupya mukti. They all have forms that look like God. They all just as beautiful. They look like God. So there's no like envy, like, oh, God's more beautiful than me. No, everybody's got a body just like God's. So nobody has to be envious of God. They love God, of course, but there's no room for like envy, because they can look like gods. And all the women look like the goddesses of fortune. So all the women are like the goddess of fortune, all the men are like God. So it's like God's very nice about that. He's like, no, there's no need to get hierarchical here. We can all share in the beauty and opulence. Okay, so that was sarupya mukti. But these gopis, of course, and other pure devotees, in the rasa tradition, in the Krishna rasa tradition, the bhakti, where you're developing this special, intimate, intense rasa, taste, love relationship with Krishna, you certainly don't want sarupya mukti. You don't want to look like Krishna. That's not at all what you want to do. It's funny actually, because Uddhava looks like Krishna. Uddhava looks so much like Krishna that the gopis will confuse him with Krishna from a distance. They're going to, because Uddhava goes to visit the gopis after this. Or was it before this? No, before this, sorry. And they get confused. They see Uddhava. It's like, oh my God, is that Krishna? No, and it takes them a little while. So Uddhava looks like Krishna. But anyway, the other pure devotees, they surely don't want to look like Krishna, because they're having a relationship with Krishna, and they need their body to be specific for their relationship with Krishna. So if I want to have conjugal love with Krishna, then I want to have a beautiful gopi form. I don't want to look like Krishna, because I don't think Krishna gets into that kind of stuff. So I want to look like a beautiful maiden so I can have a conjugal relationship with Krishna. So I don't want sarupya mukti. And his friends, they don't want to look like, they want to play with Krishna. They're his friends, the gopas. They want to just play and hang out because they have a friendship rasa, sankhya rasa. So they don't want to look like Krishna. That would be weird, right? You don't want to look like your friend. You just want to be yourself, and Krishna's himself, and you just, you have fun like that. And the parents don't want to look like Krishna. That would be weird, right? You can't have I can't play the role of father to Krishna if I look exactly like Krishna. I have to, that would be weird. So then nobody there in Vrindavan wants sarupya mukti. Were the gopis to obtain a bodily form like the Lord's, how could the Lord execute his conjugal pastimes of dancing with the gopis and embracing them? Since the gopis had realized their eternal spiritual forms as servitors of the Lord, their swarupa, The word Swarupa also may indicate that their own spiritual bodies, and thus Swarupa Vida means that the gopis never thought, as materialists do, of their own bodily beauty. Although the gopis are the most beautiful girls in the Lord's creation, they never thought of their own bodies, but rather were always meditating on the transcendental body of Lord Krishna. Although we cannot imitate the gopis' exalted conjugal feelings, we can follow their superb example of practical Krishna consciousness. They naturally took shelter of Lord Krishna and achieved the highest perfection of life. So this is really beautiful stuff. Okay. Now, verses 14 and 15. Therefore, my dear Uddhava, abandon the Vedic mantras as well as their procedures of supplementary Vedic literatures and their positive and negative injunctions. Disregard that which has been heard and that which is to be heard. Simply take shelter of me alone, for I am the Supreme Personality of Godhead, situated within the heart of all conditioned souls. Take shelter of me wholeheartedly, and by my grace, be free from fear in all circumstances. What a great verse. What a great instruction. Let's just take these two verses and just really just tattoo them in your mind. Keep them forever. This is it. This is so important. Abandon. So what are the Vedic mantras and their procedures? This is not just like, not the nice, not the good philosophy stuff, not the katha, the stories of Krishna. No. This is like all the, ritualistic stuff, all that stuff. Abandon that. Krishna says the same thing to Arjuna in Bhagavad-gita, in chapter 7. He says, Arjuna, forget the flowery words of the Vedas, promising life in Swargaloka. Forget that. That's rubbish. We're talking about spiritual life here. We're talking about the eternal bliss of going back home. So forget this, getting, some promotion to, a nicer planet in the universe. That is complete rubbish compared to what we're doing here. We're doing yoga. We're doing something much higher. So Krishna says the same thing to Arjuna. Forget that stuff. He says the flowery words of the Vedas. Forget that stuff. And here's telling Uddhava the same thing. Forget that stuff. Forget all those rituals and do this and do that and the rule. Forget that. Just take shelter of me alone. That's also the famous concluding verse of, in the sense of the Krishna's instructions in Bhagavad-gita to Arjuna. Take shelter of me. Take shelter of me. Verse 1866, Krishna says, look, just take shelter of me. I'll take care of everything else. Don't worry. Take shelter of me alone. Mam ekam sharanam vrata. Mam ekam, only me, sharan. Shelter. Same thing. So take shelter of me alone. Same word, sharanam. Exact same word he's using here. He used with Uddhava. Come to me. Mam ekam eva sharan. Same thing. Mam ekam to yipujvadari. And eva, an extra, actually, to make it more emphatic. So come to me alone. Come to me alone because, hey, I am the Supreme Lord. I am situated in the heart of all souls. I am there in everyone, in all beings. I am there. In every single body, I am there. Take shelter of me wholeheartedly. It's a good translation in that sense. Like wholeheartedly is good, with all your heart. It's beautiful. It's a very good choice of words. With all your heart. Take shelter of me. And then, by my grace, be free from fear in all circumstances. Same thing he says to Krishna, to Arjuna. Same thing Krishna says to Arjuna in verse 66 of chapter 18 of Bhagavad Gita. It's like, take shelter of me alone. Do not fear. I'll take care of everything. So have no fear. Abandon fear. Here he's saying, just be free from fear in all circumstances, because by my grace, I'll take care of it. I got you. Krishna's saying, I've got you. I got your back. I got you. Just ask for it, be wholeheartedly with me, and I've got you. You don't have to worry about anything else. So that is a beautiful offer Krishna is laying out. Purport. Sri Uddhava inquired from Lord Krishna about the symptoms of saintly persons and liberated souls. That's how the conversation started many classes back. And the Lord has replied in terms of different levels of spiritual advancement, distinguishing between those who are able to understand Lord Krishna to be the principal goal of life, and those loving devotees who accept Lord Krishna and devotional service to him as the only goal of life. It's interesting, isn't it? The principal goal of life or the only goal of life? Meditate on that. Lord Krishna also mentioned that he is captured by his loving devotees and even by those who sincerely associate with his loving devotees. Among all the devotees, the gopis of Vrindavan were described by the Lord as having achieved such a rare state of pure devotional service that Lord Krishna personally feels constantly indebted to them. Of course, this is a famous verse in the 10th canto as well, where Krishna says these exact words. He says, look, I can't, I'm God, I've got everything, but I can't pay you back for this. It's like God is saying, everything is mine. There's no way for me to retribute. Your love is so great, you beat me. I can't do this. I can't give you anything greater than you've given me, because there's so much love. So that's the power of love. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Lord Krishna previously kept the gopis' love for him concealed in his heart because of its confidential nature and the Lord's own gravity. Finally, however, even Lord Krishna could not remain silent about the intense love of the gopis. And thus, in these verses, the Lord reveals to Uddhava how the gopis loved him in Vrindavan and brought him fully under their control. The Lord would relax in secret places with the loving gopis, and by conjugal spontaneous affection, the greatest love was exchanged between them. This is very interesting. And Krishna's talking about this now. Remember, Krishna's about to leave the planet. Krishna will leave in 7 days. In 7 days, Krishna Lila is over. Kali Yuga begins. In 7 days, these are Krishna's last instructions. So now that everything is wrapping up, this is it, this is the end. Now he talks about it. He wanted to talk about this for decades, but he wouldn't talk about it with anyone. It was too confidential. He wouldn't reveal this to anyone. He didn't reveal it to Arjuna, because he spoke to Arjuna decades before this. And he didn't speak with Arjuna about it. No, this is such a high elevated topic, such a confidential subject matter that he kept it to himself until the very last moment to Uddhava. And here in the Uddhava-gita we get to see that. That's why Uddhava-gita is so special, such a wonderful, special text. Very important. As explained by the Lord in Bhagavad Gita, one cannot achieve the perfection of life merely by renouncing the material world or by executing ordinary, sectarian, religious principles. One must actually understand the identity of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and by associating with His pure devotees, one must learn to love the Lord in His personal, original form. So this is one of the important messages of the Bhagavad Purana, of the Krishna Bhakti movement in general, that it's not enough just to have a generic concept of God, the Almighty, and you have no idea what God is like, or what God's abode is like, or what you're supposed to do in God's book. You should go a little deeper. You should develop a specific relationship. It's a more personal, direct approach that is being called for. This love may be expressed in either the conjugal, parental, fraternal, or serving rasa or relationships. So this is about the famous 5 types of rasas, the 5 flavors of love which you can develop towards God. The Lord has elaborately explained to Uddhava the system of philosophical analysis of the material world, and now he clearly concludes that it is useless for Uddhava to waste time in fruitive activities or mental speculation. In other words, it's useless to just dedicate yourself to material endeavors, and it's useless just to philosophize endlessly without receiving some important transcendental information, some spiritual wisdom. Actually, Lord Krishna is hinting that Uddhava should assimilate the example of the gopis and try to advance further in Krishna consciousness by following in the footsteps of the cowherd damsels of Vraja. Any conditioned soul who is unsatisfied with the cruel laws of nature which impose disease, old age, and death should understand that Lord Krishna can deliver all living beings from the problems of material existence. There is no need to entangle oneself in unauthorized sectarian rituals, injunctions, or prohibitions. One should simply surrender to Lord Krishna, following the example of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. By the authorized, regulated process of Bhakti Yoga, Krishna consciousness, one easily achieves spiritual perfection. So that's it for now. I hope you've been able to assimilate this wonderful knowledge and bring it to your spiritual life. Very important verses we've been seeing here. And have the rest of your day with lots of peace and lots of love. Hare Krishna.